Hæ, ég heiti Ása og þetta rásin mín Lærum Íslensku. Hello, my name is Ása and this is my channel. Let's learn Icelandic. I'm excited about the lesson today because it's going to be very practical, I hope, and so you can all learn something that you can actually very easily use. I think this lesson should be suited for everyone. My aim is after this lesson that you will be able to say what languages you speak, what languages you are studying, and so forth. So let's just go. The most basic of all is to learn that tungumál means language in Icelandic. Okay, so tungumál. Literally, this is tongue language. So mál is a language and tunga is just tongue, this one. So tungumál is just tongue language, meaning the language that you speak. For example, you could also say something like forritunarmál, and this is a programming language, a language that you program, forritunarmál, etc. And then táknmál with the difficult N, táknmál is a sign language. So basically mál just means language, and then you can put whatever you want in front to make it whatever kind of language that you are talking about. The word tungumál is a neutral word in Icelandic. And if you have been watching my lessons religiously, that might maybe tell you how the plural of tungumál is. So if you only have one language, you say tungumál, but if you have many, the plural it's also tungumál. So basically, usually when you have neutral words, they are the same in the plural and the singular, but the grammar is different. So if you have one, we say the language, tungumálið. We have many, you say tungumálin. Okay, the languages. Another short grammar input about tungumál is because this is a neutral word, then we count it as all neutral words. So we say eitt tungumál. You remember how to say it? Okay, now I say it. Tvö tungumál. Then three, you say it. Now I say it. Þrjú tungumál. Do you remember? You try. And then I say it. Fjögur tungumál. So we say eitt tungumál, tvö tungumál, þrjú tungumál, fjögur tungumál. More specifically, if you want to express what is your native language, then we say móðurmál. Okay. Móðurmál means mother language, or mother tongue, as you would say in English, or native language. So you would say móðurmál. And like before, this is also a neutral word. So for example, I could say móðurmálið mitt íslenska. Móðurmálið mitt íslenska. I could also skip the grammar for the móðurmál and say móðurmál mitt íslenska. Móðurmál mitt íslenska. So the difference between saying móðurmálið and móðurmál is very subtle. So when I say móðurmálið mitt íslenska, it's slightly more colloquial. Okay, slightly more colloquial. This is the way all kids would say. Kids would always use this version. Grown-ups use both versions, but this one is slightly more colloquial. But you can also say móðurmál mitt íslenska, and it's slightly more formal. But we're talking about very, very small differences, like super small differences, so you can use both in almost all situations. Just pick the version that you like and try it with your own language. Say móðurmál mitt whatever language it is. Google is your friend. If you don't know how to say it in Icelandic, just Google your language and it will move over. Or you can say móðurmálið mitt Before we move forward, we need one very quick, very easy grammar lesson that will be very useful. Okay, so Íslenska, the language, the Icelandic language, Íslenska, is a female noun that ends with an A. And all the female nouns that end with an A are very easy to bend according to the cases. Because the cases in Icelandic tell you what is the purpose of the word in the sentence. You can check my other lessons for more information. But basically, the case depends on where the word stands in the sentence. And we have 4 cases, but in the situation where we have words like Íslenska, this is very easy. We just say, hér íslenska, íslensku, frá íslensku, til íslensku. Okay, so the nominative is íslenska, and all the other 3 cases is íslensku. So it's just a turns into ö. Very, very easy. You only have to know if it is the nominative or something else, and if it's the something else, you just put íslensku. And this goes for all female words that end with a. One perfect example is my name. So my name is Ása. So you would say, hér Ása, Ásu, frá Ásu, til Ásu. So basically, if it's the nominative, like my name is Ása, then you would use this form. But in all cases where it's not in the nominative, you always use Ásu. Ásu. And I might have used this sometime before in my previous lessons. So this is very easy. And the beauty of this is that almost all languages are female words that end with a, and usually ska to be exact, like Íslenska. So basically, ska is the normal ending for languages. There are some exceptions for this, but these are typically languages that are very exotic from an Icelandic standpoint. Like, so ancient Icelanders didn't really talk about them. Like, for example, Swahili. Swahili is usually just called Swahili or Swahili tungumálið in Icelandic. But for most languages, this is ska. So, for example, enska, English, danska, Danish, sænska, Swedish, norska, and Norwegian. So you can see that from the beginning, you can typically even guess what language it is, because it's pretty similar amongst different languages. So if it ends with an ska, it's usually a language, and then from the first you can sort of guess what it is. For example, japanska, you guessed it, Japanese. Kínverska, maybe not so obvious, kínverska, Chinese. Okay, and all of these words, they behave grammatically exactly the same as Íslenska. So this is a very easy thing to do. So if I want to say what languages I speak, then I say ég tala, I speak, ég tala. And tala acts directly on the language, so the language becomes into the þolfall, but it doesn't matter which of the 3 it is, it will sound the same, but it actually is the þolfall. And then I can say something like, ég tala finnsku, grísku og hebresku. Complete lie, I don't, but I could say it grammatically, it's correct, but factually it's a lie. But when you're learning languages, you can lie. It's allowed. At least this is what my Spanish teacher always used to say. My very wonderful Spanish teacher. She always said, when you're learning languages, you're allowed to lie to be able to say more interesting sentences. And I think this is a fantastic view. So we could say, hann talar spænsku, hún talar þýsku og hann talar frönsku. Because here is the one complication of the a turns into u rule, and that is this. If the second to last a if there's an a at the end and also the second to last vowel is also a, then we will have a sound change that we have seen many times. So the sound change is a turned into ö, which is very common, especially for everything female. So franska is French, the French language. So franska, but we say hér franska, frönsku, frá frönsku til frönsku. Notice the a turned into ö. This is also true for Danish. Danska, hér danska, dönsku, frá dönsku til dönsku. And this is also a rule in general. I mean, it's not only about languages, but about all female words that have this sort of a combination, a at the end, and then a is the second last. Very common name is Anna, and it will be shock for a foreign person that's called Anna that comes to Iceland, because suddenly they're all calling her Önnu. So it's hér Anna, Önnu, frá Önnu til Önnu, and it's impossible for us not to do it. Actually, one time I was working with a very nice Bulgarian woman who spoke absolutely fantastic Icelandic, and her name happened to end with an A. So she was like, when I first came and they changed my name and it was like, it was like, what even is this? That's not my name. And it's like, but then she was like, but now I do it myself all the time. Never skip it, because it's so natural. You cannot really speak Icelandic without it. In the case that you're learning a language but you don't really speak it, then you can very easily say, ég að læra. I am learning. So you would say, ég að læra. And learning is also directly impacting the language. So it's also in the þolfall, but you don't care. So it's ég að læra íslensku. And this is something that you can all say. Ég að læra íslensku. Ég að læra íslensku. So say it all with me. Ég að læra íslensku. Then all together. Ég að læra íslensku. Fantastic! Another phrase that might be useful if you go to Iceland, let's say, and Icelandic people are a bit impatient with foreigners learning Icelandic, and I apologize for this. So then you can say, gætirðu nokkuð talað aðeins hægar? Could you maybe speak a little bit slower? Gætirðu nokkuð talað aðeins hægar? And the nokkuð is important because I talked about this in previous lesson, but if you put nokkuð there, it automatically becomes more polite. So gætirðu, and it makes your Icelandic more native and nice. So use the nokkuð. Say, gætirðu nokkuð talað aðeins hægar. Gætirðu nokkuð talað aðeins hægar? And then you can add, ég ennþá að læra íslensku. So I'm still learning Icelandic. So I'm in the process of learning Icelandic. So could you please speak a bit slower? I repeat the whole thing. Gætirðu nokkuð talað aðeins hægar? Ég ennþá að læra íslensku. So learn this sentence, repeat until you can make this sentence very fluently. Because if you're going to try to learn Icelandic, it's very likely that you will need it. So I'll do it once again at a normal speed. Gætirðu nokkuð talað aðeins hægar? Ég ennþá að læra íslensku. Gætirðu nokkuð talað aðeins hægar? Ég ennþá að læra íslensku. Let's end this by adding some nuances. Let's assume that you speak a language fluently, like English. Then you can say, add the word reyprennandi. Usually It's said a bit quickly, like reiprennandi. Reiprennandi. Okay? This is a very funny word, and I misunderstood this word for like decades. I was into my late teens before I realized what it actually meant. I thought it was spelled slightly differently, and then it meant in my mind to be riding a horse like the speed of the lightning, and it made so much sense to me. Like, I know the language, like riding a horse like super fast. But this is not at all what it means. So it means reiprennandi. So reipi is a rope. So and að renna is to slide some sort of. So I think it's like fast sliding rope. I don't know. I think my version is better, but that's not Icelandic, so you'll have to do with a fast sliding rope. Basically, it's so smooth that the rope is just like, I don't know. Anywho, you can say ég tala reiprennandi ensku. Then you can say ég tala reiprennandi íslensku og ensku. Ég tala reiprennandi finnsku. So be slightly careful about the word bilingual. So let's say in English, if you speak a couple of languages fluently, you're bilingual or trilingual or whatever. In Iceland, no. When you say that you're tvítyngd, so basically tvítyngdur, male, female, neutral or non-binary is tvítyngdur, tvítyngd, tvítyngd. So basically, if you are tvítyngdur, it means that you have two native languages. Okay, two native languages always. I would never call myself bilingual or trilingual or whatever in Iceland, because I only have one native language. Doesn't matter how fluent I am. It doesn't matter if I speak so fluently that nobody can even hear that I'm not English or whatever. I'm still not bilingual. Bilingual in Icelandic, tvítyngdur, is only for people growing up with two languages. Okay, just keep this in mind, because otherwise the word would have no meaning, because everyone in Iceland speaks 2 or 3 languages at least. So if you know a little bit about languages, the most common way is to either say ég tala svolitla grísku, ég tala svolitla grísku, or ég kann svolítið í grísku. Okay, ég kann svolítið í grísku, and be careful to only use the í with the svolítið and not with svolitla. Okay, the meaning doesn't change. The meaning is exactly the same, the feeling is exactly the same. So either ég kann svolitla grísku eða ég kann svolítið í grísku. Now, if we know how to say we speak the language, then it's very straightforward, especially to all of those that have watched my adjective lessons, to describe nationalities. So, okay, so íslenska is the language, but you can say that ég íslensk, íslensk. So the adjective describing the nationality is íslenskur, íslenskur. This is the standard. But now, when you're all masters of Icelandic rules of adjectives, this is a very completely regular one. So you would say hann íslenskur. Then you would say hún er íslensk, Hán er íslenskt, and then finally in the plural it will be þeir eru íslenskir, then þær eru íslenskar, and finally þau eru íslensk. So this is a very standard adjective that happens to be completely regular. So now that you know all the adjectives rules, this should be hopefully very straightforward. That is it for today. I hope you now know how to express your language status in Icelandic. Stay tuned for the homework and I see you in the next lesson. Bless, bless! Now let's start with the exercises, and remember that you can always press pause, take a 5-minute break if your brain is overwhelmed. But the first one is easy, just connect the Icelandic to the English. Press pause, take all the time that you need, and now I will give you the result. The Icelandic pronunciation of these words is Polska, Polish, Spænska, Spanish, Enska, English, Thailandska, Thai, and Arabiska, Arabic. Now put these languages into the correct case. Press pause, take all the time that you need, then I will give you the right answer. 1. Ég tala íslensku. 2. Ég tala frönsku. 3. Ég tala ítölsku. 4. Ég tala portugalsku. 5. Ég tala dönsku. 6. Ég tala japansku. Notice that I gave you all the difficult ones with the sound change from A to Ö, but that's just because I really want you to remember. Fylltu inn með þjóðerni. Fill out with the correct nationalities. Use Google if you don't know, but at the bottom I put all of the ones that I used in alphabetical order. Take your time, do it slowly, select the right nationality, know if it's singular or plural and in the right gender, and remember there can also be sound changes here. Take your time, press pause, and then now I will give you the result. Angela Merkel og Heidi Klum eru þýskar. Hugh Jackman ástralskur. Antonio Banderas og Javier Bardem eru spænskir. Margrét Danadrottning og Viggo Mortensen eru dönsk. Barnið þeirra Harry og Meghan Markle, það breskt og bandarískt, British and American. Marie Curie var pólsk og frönsk. And now the final exercise of today is to answer this question. Hvaða tungumál talar þú? What languages do you speak? Answer either by yourself, to yourself, or in the comments. Either way is absolutely fine. And I put some examples there if you're completely stuck. Now try to use everything that we learned in this lesson. And then I'll say goodbye for now and see you in the next lesson. Bless, bless!